The shock hits before anyone breathes. Word spreads that Andrei is allegedly moving toward divorce, and the room changes. Even without a direct announcement, the tone of every scene feels heavier. The way he pulls back, the way he watches everyone with tight eyes, the way conversation shifts around him, viewers caught the shift before the cast did. Producers linger on his reactions because tension sells and his silence says more than any fight. Elizabeth looks rattled in a way she does not hide. Her voice shakes on small lines and her body language turns inward. She tries to hold steady, but the worry slips through. She keeps glancing at him as if hoping he will soften. He does not. The gap between them grows with each scene, and fans start reading every frame like a clue board. When a marriage built on stubborn pride meets a new wall, something breaks quietly before it breaks loud. Yara picks up on the tension fast. Her instincts are sharper than people give her credit for. She tries to ask gentle questions but stops when she sees Elizabeth swallow hard. The fear is not dramatic. The fear is quiet. Kind that shows up when someone wonders if their family might not survive the pressure. Cameras catch those micro moments and they hit harder than any scream. Money hangs in the air even when no one says the word. Viewers know how often it comes up with this group. Power shifts fast when financial stress and public pressure mix. Fans start to wonder if this strain is new or if it has been building off camera. Producers frame the dinner scenes with wide shots and long pauses because everyone senses something deeper moving under the surface. That is where the story builds, in the moments no one names. Control is the other shadow in the room. When someone feels their grip slipping, they react in strange ways. Cold comment. The long stare. Quiet exit. Andrei barely hides the edge in his voice. His tone stays flat but firm. Elizabeth tries to hold the pieces, but her hands are already full. Every viewer feels the stakes rising as if the show has been waiting for this shift. The moment everyone misses is still coming, and it changes everything once it appears. Pattern did not start this season. It has been stacking for years in small scenes that looked harmless in the moment. Viewers point to times when Andrei steps in with a sharp tone and takes charge before anyone else speaks. He cuts into conversations, sets rules on the spot, and expects everyone to fall in line. The show never labels it, but the behavior repeats enough that fans notice the rhythm. When someone feels their authority is the anchor of the family, the pressure to protect that role grows heavier with each episode. Some conflicts start with a simple comment that turns stiff. Question about plans. Concern about money. A disagreement over family boundaries. Instead of working through it, the scene turns into a power move. Andrei has a pattern of standing tall, speaking over the noise and locking the direction. On screen it looks like confidence. Off-screen viewers think it seeds resentment because no one else gets to settle the conversation at their own pace. Social media makes everything sharper. Fans react fast and loud. They screenshot frames and point out the moments where tension shows in Elizabeth's eyes. They replay clips where she tries to speak but steps back when his voice rises. These reactions pile onto the couple. Pressure builds because now every argument lives twice, once in the room and again online. That echo pushes the stress into the next episode where small triggers hit harder. Episodes show the same cycle forming. Someone raises a concern. Andrei stands firm. Elizabeth tries to calm the room. A family member reacts. Conversation shifts into a tug of wills. No screaming needed. The authority battle is clear. That energy does not end when filming stops. Fans sense it rolling into their home life where cameras do not follow. Elizabeth reaches a point where her shoulders drop in a way that feels final. She tries to stay patient, but her face gives away the strain. Years of walking the same path start to wear her down. When someone feels unheard long enough, a quiet limit forms. The worry is not the loud fights. The worry is the silence between them that keeps growing. The moment that pushes this limit is not filmed, and the fallout from that off-camera trigger exposes a deeper break no one expected. The emotional weight of the show hits harder than the arguments. Public pressure changes how couples hold themselves together. Every look, every pause, every tense breath ends up on thousands of screens. Cast knows this. They try to stay calm while feeling the ground shift under them. When a relationship starts to wobble, the fear is not only about losing each other. The fear grows because the entire world is watching every step. Yara feels this pressure more than she admits. Her breakdown is not loud. Slips out in a quiet moment where she stops pretending she is fine. Her voice softens and her eyes drop. She has been trying to hold her life steady while juggling expectations, online opinions, and her own worries. Fans saw her shoulders shake for a second before she wiped her face. That small moment hit viewers harder than any argument from the season. Stability becomes something fragile. When a family feels the weight of public reaction, every choice becomes tied to survival. Couples start asking themselves if they trust each other enough to handle the fallout. Money becomes a silent factor in this. Trust becomes another. Control turns into a question with no easy answer. Who leads the decisions? Who sacrifices? Who adjusts? These things shift under pressure until no one knows what is real and what is shaped by the filming environment. Cameras change behavior. People say things earlier or hold back longer. They worry about how they look, how fans will react, how their partner will feel when the episode airs. This does not create the tension, but it makes every crack wider. When trust shakes, everything else starts to slip. The fear of losing the stable ground makes people cling tighter to control, even if it hurts the relationship. Yara feels this fear in her own way. She starts asking herself if she can keep holding everything together. Her breakdown scene leaves open questions about her next move. She looks torn between speaking her truth and protecting what she has built with her family. The moment ends without a clear answer. Her silence leaves space for something bigger to rise. What she does after this moment changes the energy of the entire season and sets up a turning point no one is ready for. Money sits in the center of many fights on this show. No one wants to admit it, but viewers see how fast conversations shift when finances come up. On screen, cast members question how bills are handled, who pays for what, and whether someone is pulling their weight. These moments sit heavy because they reveal the stress underneath the surface. When money feels uncertain, everything else feels shaky. There are scenes where partners look surprised by expenses. There are moments where someone hints they feel taken for granted. Fans remember the episodes where questions about fairness hang in the air while no one gives a straight answer. These are not hidden clues. They play out in real time while the cast tries to look calm. Honesty becomes harder when there is fear of public reaction. When someone feels cornered, they dodge the topic or shift the focus. Viewers see this and start forming their own opinions. Responsibility becomes another layer. One person feels they carry too much. Another feels controlled. Someone else worries the future depends on choices they did not make. Money does not cause the emotional cracks, but it pushes on them until they spread. When couples argue on camera about bank accounts, savings, or income plans, it shows something deeper. Tension is not about the exact number. Tension comes from how secure each person feels with the other. Some scenes show one partner taking charge of the financial plan without explaining anything. Others show someone pushing back because they want a voice in the decisions. These actions create a pattern that fans track from episode to episode. When one couple struggles, the stress leaks into group scenes. A single comment or joke lands wrong and the room shifts. Even couples who were not part of the argument start reacting. Money stress moves through the cast like a quiet chain reaction. When one couple hits a breaking point, others begin questioning their own balance. The show captures these ripples even when the cast tries to hide them. A careless remark, a tense look, a worried pause, viewers see all of it. The financial tension sets the stage for a shift that no one expects. What begins as one couple's private concern suddenly triggers fallout in another relationship, and the effect hits harder than anyone predicts. Confrontations start small. Someone interrupts. Someone reacts too fast. Voices get tight before they get loud. The shift happens when people stop listening and start defending the version of themselves they want the audience to see. Cameras catch every flicker of frustration. These scenes show how fear of judgment pulls partners into sharp corners where they push back harder than they need to. Control becomes a shield. Defensiveness becomes a habit. Episodes show moments where one partner talks over the other to steer the narrative. Another tries to stay calm but cracks under the pressure. You see someone lean forward as if they are ready for a fight. You see someone else pull away to protect their dignity. These reactions look different on the surface, but they come from the same place. No one wants to be the one who looks weak or wrong when the footage airs. When a couple argues in front of cameras, the fight is not only between them. It is also between the image they want and the image unfolding. Fans notice patterns that repeat across seasons. They see how some partners shut down the moment they feel challenged. They see how others raise their voice the moment they feel small. These are not isolated scenes. They are long-term habits that build resentment over time. Viewers think the breakdowns come from years of never shifting out of these roles. One person always leads. One always adjusts. One always apologizes first. That imbalance wears down the bond until frustration becomes the default tone. Arguments escalate quicker when old wounds sit below fresh tension. Someone tries to explain their point while the other grows impatient. Someone walks away because they are tired of repeating themselves. The show does not script these reactions. It reveals them. And when the pressure builds high enough, even the calmest partner reaches a point where their patience thins. Elizabeth has scenes where her voice turns quiet at the wrong moment. Andrei has scenes where his stance turns rigid before anyone speaks. These reactions collide. Fear mixes with pride. The argument turns into a standoff. The room fills with a silence that feels heavier than shouting. Fans expect the usual pattern. Someone apologizes. Someone compromises. Someone drops the topic. But the episode breaks the rhythm when one partner steps out of the room and does not return to smooth things over. This moment surprises viewers because it interrupts the script they have seen play out for years. The decision made in that moment pulls the entire story onto a new path, and no one sees the impact coming until it is too late. The emotional cost becomes clearer when the camera pans to the people who never chose this level of exposure. Children feel the tension even when adults whisper behind closed doors. They hear the pauses. They sense the stress. Families try to shelter them, but the energy shifts inside the home. When couples fight about control, money, or trust, the weight spreads. Kids pick up on the worry before anyone speaks. Extended family members feel pulled in too. Some try to help. Others step back to avoid conflict. Everyone feels the strain of a home stretched thin. Long-term plans start to wobble. Future moves, career changes, and family goals get pushed aside because daily stress takes over. When partners cannot agree on the present, the future becomes something they avoid discussing. Episodes show these moments with close angles and soft silence. A partner hesitates before answering a question about 5-year plans. Another partner looks away when asked if they feel secure. Vulnerability shows up in small gestures. A shaky breath. A sudden quiet. A worried stare held a second too long. Filming schedules add another layer. When a couple is already tired, long days under bright lights take a toll. They try to act normal while knowing every slip might become a viral clip. The fear of being judged turns small disagreements into guarded conversations. Someone stays calm not because they feel calm, but because they want to avoid becoming the next trending topic. Someone else avoids sharing a concern because they know fans will dissect every word once it airs. Social media reactions shape how couples treat each other. When one partner gets praised online, they relax a little. When the other gets criticized, they stiffen. Episodes show moments where cast members hint at comments they read overnight. You see it in their tone. You see it in their posture. They say they do not care, but their actions tell another story. The pressure pushes them to adjust their behavior in ways that do not always help the relationship. Vulnerability becomes the clearest when someone finally breaks the polished exterior. You see it when Elizabeth's eyes fill before she looks down. You see it when Yara exhales like she has been holding her breath for days. These moments remind viewers that behind the arguments are people trying to hold their families together while the world watches. The emotional weight deepens the open loops around the future of every couple. Will they stay together? Will they separate quietly? Will the stress finally reach a point where no one can push it down anymore? One concern begins in private. A partner loses sleep over something they do not want to announce yet. Stays hidden for a moment, but tension always finds a way out. Pressure builds until the worry breaks through the surface. That private concern spills into public view in a way that shifts the entire season and leaves everyone guessing what comes next. Tensions start to ripple across the season. One couple's argument doesn't exist in isolation. A harsh word, a subtle look, a social media post, it all spills over to others. When Andrei storms out or makes a pointed comment, it echoes through shared scenes and family gatherings. Camera catches reactions that the cast might not even realize. Elizabeth stiffens, Yara glances sideways, and suddenly everyone is holding their breath. The energy shifts and the stress multiplies. The show thrives on these cross-currents. You can almost feel the producers watching, knowing that every small reaction is another clip that fuels the next scene. Fans notice the tension too. Comments and posts pile up online, giving certain cast members praise while others get heat. Couple who thought they were private suddenly see their arguments dissected by thousands. The pressure of being constantly analyzed nudges behavior in unexpected directions. Teasing comment turns defensive. A smile comes across as nervous. Every gesture becomes a statement, whether intended or not. The camera doesn't lie, but it certainly amplifies every micro-moment into a mini-drama that fans devour. Humor creeps in, but not the cruel kind. You notice the patterns and quirks of behavior, the way someone over-explains, the way someone else suddenly gets stiff when confronted. It's human, but also ripe for commentary. A defensive posture, a sudden jab in a conversation, a glance that says more than words ever could. All these small behaviors are magnified because of who is watching. It's entertaining, sure, but it also keeps the couples walking a tightrope between reality and performance. A mystery begins to form around one cast member's next move. You can sense hesitation, the kind that stretches for days on camera. No one knows yet what decision will come, but clues pop up in casual conversations and sidelong glances. A seemingly innocent statement hints at deeper feelings, and the audience picks up on it long before anyone else. Andrei and Elizabeth remain at the center. Every moment between them crackles with tension. Arguments, avoidance, brief reconciliations, they all suggest a house of cards waiting to collapse. With cameras capturing every second, nothing stays private. Friends, family, and viewers are left wondering, has the marriage already passed the point of no return? And then, just as the episode seems to settle, a single unexpected moment throws everything into question, leaving everyone on the edge about whether Andrei and Elizabeth are truly heading toward divorce, or if there's a shocking twist no one saw coming. The fallout hits hard. Andrei's move toward divorce doesn't just shake him and Elizabeth. It ripples through every relationship orbiting them. You see exhaustion in her eyes, frustration in his gestures, and the silent tension that fills a room even when words are scarce. Fear of public judgment, loyalty to family, and sheer fatigue collide on camera in ways that are hard to ignore. Every glance and pause carries meaning. Each partner's coping mechanisms are on full display. Elizabeth carefully measures what she says, trying to protect herself and her image, while Andrei oscillates between confrontation and avoidance. Yara watches, feeling the weight of her own heartbreak, wondering how the pressure of fame might change what she thought was certain. Cameras capture everything, and fans online dissect every subtle shift. You start to realize that in this world, private struggles are rarely private and every move is magnified. Tension escalates because stress looks different for everyone. One person withdraws, another lashes out, a third performs for the cameras, hiding the depth of their anxiety behind smiles or sarcasm. Money, control, trust, they all become secondary to managing perception. It's exhausting for the cast and fascinating for viewers. You can see how relationships fray not just from disagreements, but from the constant spotlight, the relentless commentary, and the pressure to appear composed while chaos brews behind the scenes. The emotional tone deepens further when you notice small but significant moments: a hesitant touch, a conversation cut short, a tear quickly wiped away. These are the moments that show fear, longing, and the question of whether love can survive fame. Loyalty is tested not just between partners but within extended families who are caught in the crossfire. By the end of this act, one final conflict is left unresolved. Subtle but potent, a remark, a look, a decision hanging in the air that promises to shift the entire dynamic in the next chapter. The audience is left holding their breath, wondering who will crack first, who will hold, and whether any relationship can endure the combination of heartbreak and cameras. Just when you think the storm might settle, one private concern spills into public view, threatening to rewrite everything viewers thought they knew about loyalty, love, and who really holds the power. Everything that's been simmering finally reaches a boiling point. The early signs, Andrei's tension, Elizabeth's panic, Yara's heartbreak, are no longer subtle. Some questions get answers. Andrei does move forward with the divorce filings, the financial disputes are clarified in part, and a few family dynamics reveal why certain decisions were made. Fans watching can finally connect the dots on some of the long-running conflicts, but not everything is neatly wrapped. Some motives remain murky, leaving lingering doubt about who is truly in control and who is performing for the cameras. The emotional toll is undeniable. Elizabeth appears drained, her gestures tight and cautious, signaling exhaustion from carrying both personal and public pressures. Andrei shows moments of regret and frustration, hinting that his decisions are as heavy on him as they are on others. Yara's breakdown becomes a focal point of empathy. Her tears are real, her fear of instability palpable. You can feel how this environment, amplified by filming and social scrutiny, slowly erodes patience, trust, and resilience. Pacing keeps the energy high. Short bursts of revelations, small clashes, and fan reactions online provide fresh angles that maintain engagement. Every scene functions as both closure and a prompt for new questions. Even when an answer appears, a subtle cue, an uneasy glance, an interrupted conversation, a social media post, suggests there's more bubbling underneath. By the end, the central conflict is reframed. The divorce, the financial disputes, the emotional fractures, these are no longer isolated events. They're part of a larger picture. Fame, scrutiny, and long-term behavioral patterns interact to create tension that extends beyond any single couple. It's not only about Andrei and Elizabeth or Yara, it's about how pressure and perception shape choices, escalate conflicts, and redefine relationships in a public arena. Just when you think the story has given up all its secrets, one revelation lands that shifts the narrative entirely, making viewers question who really holds the power in these marriages. The dust settles, but not everything is settled. Elizabeth looks cautious, carrying the weight of decisions that reshaped her life in plain view. Andrei, for all his moments of control and frustration, faces a reality where public perception and private choices collide, leaving cracks no one can fully mend. Yara, still raw from heartbreak, signals that recovery and trust will take time, and her next steps are already shadowed by lessons learned and fears that haven't fully faded. Each relationship carries traces of the same patterns: power struggles, emotional triggers, and the pressure of constant scrutiny. You see how the cameras amplify small actions into defining moments, how public commentary twists choices, and how money, loyalty, and fear continually pull at decisions behind closed doors. These patterns aren't just drama for the screen, they're the echoes of long-term behaviors and unresolved conflicts that could resurface in ways viewers haven't yet imagined. Even in moments of calm, tension simmers. Every glance, every hesitation, every guarded word hints at futures shaped by past conflicts and lingering doubts. You can't help but wonder who will bend, who will break, and who will push back next. The story doesn't close neatly because real life rarely does, especially when fame and personal stakes collide. And just when you think you've seen the full picture, one unexpected move by a cast member sets the stage for drama in the next season, proving nothing here is truly over.